You study what affects children negatively. You've studied institutionalized children. Mm-hmm. What have you learned about how children are affected by institutions?
Well, the first thing we've learned is that institutions of the sort that we'll be seeing tonight, that you see in Serbia, that I see in Romania, have a detrimental effect on every domain of development. So an example would be the average IQ of a child who stays in an institution more than a few years is about 73 or 74. They're several years behind in language development. If they may have, by the time they're 5, they may have the language proficiency of a 2-year-old. Their brain is underpowered. They're tiny. For every 2 months they spend in a bad institution, they lose 1 month of linear growth. So you can imagine over the course of a year that a child who should be growing like this might be growing like this.
Explain that to me.
This is called growth retardation or failure to thrive. And so what happens is that the brain produces a hormone that allows you to grow. And the brain doesn't produce that hormone when you're under such severe conditions of deprivation. And we've known this in the child protection system in this country for many years. A classic sign of child neglect is kids who don't grow.
How much love should you be missing to be stunted like this?
So that's the $64,000 question. What is it that's missing in the lives of these kids? So we think of it as psychosocial deprivation. We think that for our species, when we're born, we expect someone to take care of us because we can't do it on our own. So we need someone who's sensitive to our needs, consistent in their caregiving, holds us, talks to us, stimulates us. But it's not really asking a lot, and it's generally the kinds of things that come naturally to most people. What we see in institutions is that all of those things are lacking. When a caregiver has to take care of 20 or 30 kids, for example, and has no training to take care of kids, by default, those children are lacking most forms of stimulation. So even the bare minimum is lacking in most institutions.
One might argue that these children, Down syndrome children, cerebral palsy children, might actually need more stimulation.
And in fact, I think that's what the weight of the evidence would be, that the more handicapped you are, the more stimulation you need. So the question for us is, how many of these children are placed in institutions because they have handicaps, and how many start okay and then develop handicaps as a function of being in the institution?